Hello, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Astrological Association New Moon Update. Together with me today is Wendy and Alejo. How are you guys?
Very
Good,
good.
good, very
Yeah,
good.
wow. Look at you guys all wake up because I think when we record this, it's just early morning, for you in UK and for me it's afternoon. Yeah, at this moment I'm in Asia celebrating the Lunar New Year at this moment. And that's why I realized, oh my God, it's new moon and we have to record one new moon update. So this
We
new
got
moon
there,
is
we got there, Rod.
yeah, I know. So this new moon is at 9 degree Aquarius. Well, Alejo, how about you start up as the new moon, this new moon in Aquarius?
Well, of course, this is one of my favorite new moons, and I always think this should be the day of the astrologer also because it's the beginning of the lunar calendar, and I like the idea of lunations and everything. I think it's something we can relate so much to in the sky. So, first of all, of course, what I would say about this moon, of course, it's a new moon. We think about new beginnings, something that's starting, something that, the intentions that you put with Aquarius. We might think of more kind of abstract things, ideas, perhaps new ideas, things that you want to do differently. The idea that it's a new year beginning for some parts of the world, I think it could be also to set intentions in a longer term. Now, what I notice is that in the chart there are still many things retrograde, and Uranus will go direct very soon. So I think this is what's interesting about this new moon. That okay, we have Uranus will go direct, and it will go into Gemini now. So I think this idea of okay, it's the last new moon in Aquarius that we have with Uranus in Taurus. So when we think about innovation and doing things that are different, I would say, okay, we have this last chance to modify the way we relate with Taurus, with physical stuff, with our bodies, with the earth, with our resources, if you want, with our sense of value, if you want to kind of bring Venus into the question, into the matter. These are my first thoughts. I don't want to talk too much. I also want to
Yeah.
hear what Wendy.
So, Wendy.
Well, yeah, I think it's a really quite exciting new moon, especially with the lineup of Pluto and Mercury with it as well. So it's very future orientated, it's very innovative, it's very freedom orientated. The thing is, it's interesting too. This is the new moon that introduces the first new moon since the nodes have retrograded back to Pisces Virgo, and they're 2959 at this new moon, and they're conjoined to Neptune and Venus as well. So I think this is a time for reflection. It's particularly financially as well. It's Venus Neptune there. It's a time to look back in order to go forward. There's something about time tense in here. Saturn is also in Pisces as well, so it's very Pisces Aquarian. It's time to acknowledge a lot of mental health stuff, to deal with a lot of stuff when you've got these signs very packed as well, and the nodes at 2959. So I think it's about moving forward, I think, this particular new moon, and I like it too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. When I prepared this months ago, because I always have to deal with my Asian client, and they will ask about, how about the Chinese Lunar New Year thingy. And when I look at this new moon chart, I was just like, that is very complicated in one way, because this new moon in one way is like a semi-square Venus and then tri Jupiter. That's a tight orb with these two so-called beneficial planets. I say it gives people a feeling about too good to be true, or everything is beautiful, everything would be fine. But then I realized at the same time, like Alejo said, that Uranus is going to change direction and is stationary at this moment. So we will focus on something shocking, and we learned the news about a couple of days ago. The stock market, Nasdaq, has a huge fall, 3%, just because I don't know, have you heard about that? A Chinese AI was on the market. It only use the its cost is only something like 20% cheaper than the Western world to run the same program. OpenAI, ChatGPT. The cost of that AI is 20% cheaper. It goes shocking to the Silicon Valley. That is Uranus. That is Uranus. So shocking news were coming like this.
Yeah, and because I do psychological astrology, I would say we could take this idea inside, right? So what new, unexpected, shocking discovery we're going to do about ourselves? I like what Wendy said about mental health and perhaps facing issues we don't usually face. And I wonder if there are some areas of ourselves that we tend to ignore. And with this Uranus moving direct and new moon, perhaps it's a moment in which it will splash, some kind of huge insight about ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, Wendy.
and I think that,
Yeah, sorry. Go on.
sorry, I was going to say that the financial side too, from an economic, that Venus Neptune with the nodes going back, the Venus Neptune is very inflationary. It's very, things are expanded. And you're right with the Uranus stationary in Taurus as well. So there is this back and forth, up and down. And like Alejo said too, that is reflected in us as well. And so the shock is sort of sending us in sort of different directions. So, so when you think of even the cryptocurrency market or the AI
Mm,
market or something like that, we can see that reflected in us. And when things are going crazy up and down, so are we. So are we. And
yeah.
so it's important to like just note that and realize that this is, happening on a much larger scale too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another things I think we cannot avoid is the new political situation happening in the United States after Trump's inauguration. He signed tons of administration the emergency order or something, and the first is like a kind of take away quite a lot of those protection for the diversity and vulnerable people, and
Mm.
also like what like yeah, so it's a minority group. So that is one thing, and that make me draw my attention on the New Moon chart. We have the Mars square Chiron. That was quite interesting in that way. How do you see that? How we prepare for this?
I'm not sure if we're prepared, but I would say I think what's interesting is that a lot of times we associate Aquarius with progressive ideas and humanitarian ideas. And I think it's not necessarily so. I think Aquarius has to do with ideals that we may have of a better society, but they might not necessarily be humanitarian. They are kind of your own ideas. And I think it's interesting what you said, this idea of Uranus changing forward, kind of this sudden change of approach to so many human rights and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and human right, democracy, equality, all these things are on the table, aren't they? They're
Mm,
all being discussed, and marginalized communities is I think is very much highlighted again by that the North Node going back into 2959 Pisces with Neptune, and you got Venus and Saturn there too. So the underdog is highlighted here. So whilst we're striving for an equal democratic, or in the name of equality, as Alejo said, there's a shadow. That it doesn't always mean what it or it doesn't unfold as equal and democratic as one would think with Aquarius as well. So the underdog is highlighted here, I think, with that really strong. Neptune's really coming to the end of Pisces, and so the suffering is still, which is also echoed, I think, too, Rod, like you said, with the Mars Chiron square as well. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Look like this new one is kind of in one way, we have that Neptune, like Wendy say, there is a combination of Aquarius and the Piscean theme all together. In one way, it's like a very soft and lovely, sweet. In another way, there is like Aquarius, especially like Uranus change the direction, and then so it's kind of a shocking. So, well, before we finish today's podcast, do you have any idea to share with our members, our colleagues before we finish today's podcast?
I go onto the Astrological Association website. We're doing a free issue of the Astrology Medicine newsletter. It's in a really beautiful new format, so we're offering it free. Grab it, send it, distribute it, circulate as wide as possible. And if you really like it, subscribe, and you get 3 issues a year.
Cool, cool, cool. Alejo, I think we were just talking about the duet, right?
Actually, yes, I was thinking about that too. In February, we're going to start again with the Astro Duets, probably 27th of February. And probably Rod's going to be there.
Yeah.
And should I say what we're planning to do or not? I'm not sure if it's
Uh,
100%
I
confirmed.
think, well, I mean, that topic is quite interesting, but, you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
So the title is called I Don't Use That. And it's
I don't
basically
use that.
talking about, yes. You can explain, Rod. It was your idea.
Okay, yeah, before we start, I just like let's do it. I say, well, I would like to talk about some those object, astrological object, or maybe some symbol that not every astrologer use. So sometimes when you discuss with your colleague, they will say, "Oh no, I don't use Chiron," or "No, I don't use asteroid." And the most of people, when I talk about comet, they were like, no, we don't use that. So I'm going to discuss like how could we maybe find the astrology communication when we are talking the different things in the chart, and how we going to finally those similar themes in the chart, and that would be so interesting.
Yeah.
So this is just a little idea, and we are going to talk in the February, and after that we will organize more astrological duets.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Okay, well, I think I have to say thank you to Alejo and Wendy joining me today for the New Moon update, and we are going to see you next month. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.